This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Open versus closed transferring, planning out future brew days, improving mash efficiency in Igloo coolers, and does the yeast strain really matter? This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 452. Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could email Joshua at homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, call it in to 325-305-6107. When I use your voicemail on a future episode, get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Does not get much better than that, but my friends, it does. I'm your host, Joshua Stubing, and today I'm so happy to welcome back. She is a good friend of the show, my literal favorite homebrewer on the planet. I'm not just buttering you up because you're here.
Yes, you are.
No, yeah, you're right. I am. Yeah. Known as Super Brews Online, a member of Homebrew Talk, admin on Homebrew Talk, admin and contributor to numerous publications, and brewersfriend.com specifically. It's my friend, Lorena Evans. Lorena, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this so last minute. I will not throw he who shall not be named under the bus right now because I'm a good friend and I will have him do future episodes as well. But I had someone drop out last minute and I texted you. I said, I know how you love to help me last minute. and you do. You're here.
I do.
Yeah. And you moved on me. So people who, real quick, who don't know and they think it's just a shtick, I'm lazy and I record this like it's live. So I make the co-host or the guest or whatever sit through all those ad bumpers and they have to just sit there in patience. And you change sceneries on me. I like it.
Yeah, I was outside on our porch of this beautiful Florida weather. Yes. And my husband started mowing the grass.
Wait, Bob knew what we were doing. Oh, yes. Oh, he's sabotaging.
He hit the dog right outside. He's mowing the grass. And I couldn't tell you because I'm listening to your ads too. Yeah. So I'm carrying everything around, coming in. and I'm sitting at his desk. I thought, why wouldn't you wait until I'm outside
Yeah, Bob's
and start the
sabotaging.
lawnmower by where I'm sitting?
You know what it is? He's jealous that I never invite him. So he's like, it's always Lorena, Marsha. It's never Bob. That's
It's
what
never
it is.
Bob.
Yeah, mowing the grass. And I was just commenting when we weren't recording that it looks like y'all have great weather. But you said you're freezing. But what is the temperature there? 70?
It's cold. It's probably 75 now, but yeah, it's a little chilly. But it's overcast. So yesterday was a little warmer, but yeah, it's a little chilly.
You're from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
I know. I know. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
You've been a Floridian too long.
I don't know. You know what I think it is? I'm much older than you, obviously. But one thing that happens when I have gotten older, and some of my friends too, I don't also like being real hot.
Right. Yeah.
So so your temperature tolerance narrows. Okay, I want to be 75 degrees all the time. So I'll go up to 80, but no, right in there. And when I was younger, it'd be like 30 below zero, and I'd be like ice fishing.
This is great.
I'd be hiking in the jungle in Belize, and it's 100.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I'm hot. I'm cold.
See,
I like the Three Bears. I want to be just right.
So it sounds like you got to move to San Diego, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, but apparently 6 billion other people have thought it first.
No kidding. Every time I visit San Diego, I'm like, I get it. I understand why people are here. And
I know. One of my friends lives there, and I stayed with her one time for a homebrew conference, right? And she's like, oh, we have gray May and June gloom.
And
this is the worst weather.
Oh. Okay, sure.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, as you're either...
Well, there's some sea fog and it's not as sunny.
They're spoiled.
Tragedy.
They're spoiled. Yeah, I would guess right now in the Upper Peninsula, it's already in the 30s. If I had to guess this time of year. Yeah, you don't know. You don't have to know. Yeah.
No, I don't know. At night, it was in the high 20s when we actually... But during the day, it was still nice. But once it looked like it was going to get cooly.
Yeah, that's when you take off. The benefits of being a winter Floridian is
awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, we get winter Texans every now and then, but it's funny because right now I think it's almost 70, so you would think it's cold. We don't get we get a couple of weeks of actual winter, what other people in the country would call winter. So when they come down here, it's basically like their springtime, whatever area they fled. So I guess it's pleasant enough. I don't know.
It is. I loved Texas when we were there.
Yeah. And
this is warmer than Rockport was, though, for sure.
Yeah. And you know what, the Rockport, I don't know the fishing in your area. I mean, I know that it's great for fishing. Rockport is great for fishing too. What a great little town in the Gulf of Mexico, America, whatever we're calling it. The Gulf.
In the Gulf. I just say now when I
Gulf.
work on a boat, I just say in the Gulf.
In the Gulf. That's all.
We're going out to the Gulf.
We're going to the Gulf.
And you fill in the of after.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I won't go there. But either way, I do. Before we get to the show, you're no stranger to this, and we are having her as a guest host because I can't take y'all's questions without help. It's not also that's also not a shtick. Even though the questions, so you may have noticed, even though I sent you the PDF, also super more last minute than my request for you to help me was. The questions I picked were on the contingency that I might have to do the show myself. So. So like, Josh, do you like beer? That's a great question, Bob. It's a complicated one. And then I drag it out for 10 minutes. No, but you saw those, but you're also no stranger to the show. I have a little bit of small talk to get through, some housekeeping, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. So my friends, for the month of November, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, sign up at a recipe receiving tier, and you're going to get the Belgian triple. We call it Abbey Road. If you're watching at youtube.com, you'll see the artwork there. We are extremely excited to get this out to y'all. Todd is extremely excited about this kit. We did episode 450 as a Brew Day Live, even though Todd denies that was a proper episode. It is the episode 450 that we did, and it was his second Brew Day of the entire year. And after the fact, he hits me up. He's like, I forgot how fun it is. Man, I miss brewing. Da, 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 da. And we've never, to my knowledge, I do not believe we've ever done a Belgian style, a proper Belgian. And we launched this Trub Club, as you might say, in October of 2019. And I don't think we've ever done a proper Belgian style. So we're going to go big. And I think, because I think triples were anywhere from between like 6% to 10%, or maybe even more boozy than that. It's a big kit. Like, I looked it up and I feel bad. We've been having our shipping lead, Tammy, do recipes. And this is one where I'm like, I might need to go up and help. She's perfectly capable. I just mean it's going to be tedious measuring out all the, because we're sending it out with corn sugar. And so, yeah. And so like measuring that out like a drug dealer, you know, I can help do that at least, so not making a mess up there. But anyway, friends, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier. Thank you to our sponsors, Monster Brewing Hardware, hopsdirect.com, Munton's Malt, and of course, Imperial Yeast, all of them providing the premium ingredients that make these kits special. More importantly, they're providing the support that keeps this going, and every single member of our Chub Club at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour is keeping this thing going. I don't have a thing for Brew Day Live yet. I think we're doing it on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, this month's Brew Day Live. I don't actually know. I haven't verified that with my pop, but you know what? I'll just say it. Brew Day Live is on Black Friday this year. No questions. Pop, if you can't do it, you're going to zoom in. We're doing it on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Join us at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We will be streaming it live there at 10 a.m. Central. I'm making an executive decision live on air. F it, we'll do it live. I think I forget what that clip was from on, I don't know if you remember that clip. It was like from Entertainment Tonight in like the 90s. Either way, I'm sorry. I'm digressing. You're not reining me in. Todd's not here to rein me in. I'm digressing too much. Brew Day Live will be then. And then also, having your presence here reminds me of my last announcement. Friends, we have a Brewer's Friend 25% off discount. You can save 25% off your membership. Go to brewersfriend.com. Use the promo code Happy Hour. I think it's all one word for that discount. I should have tested it before getting that code made. But I believe it is all... I think it's all one word. I have had people thank me. We've been announcing it for 3 weeks, maybe a month, and I've had 2 people tell me that that's awesome. And so I'm assuming that they used it and that it worked when I told them happy hour, all one word. So brewersfriend.com, promo code happy hour, 25% off. And Todd and James aren't here to vouch for it, but I can vouch for it that is the most utilized piece of software between the Homebrew Happy Hour crew. We use it all the time, especially the calculators. My pop and I, that's what we use the most, is all like the temperature difference for your hydrometer, which people, Lorena, don't realize makes a difference. If you're measuring your wort in a hydrometer at make up a 75, it makes a big difference as to what gravity actually is if you don't make an adjustment. So you think, oh, my OG is, 1048, but it's actually 1046 if you do the adjustment or whatever. And that can change how your ABV ends up. It can change a lot of stuff. So calculators are a good thing. And going to brewersfriend.com and using promo code Happy Hour, all one word, or maybe not. Give it a try.
If they tell everyone if they have trouble, send an email to support@brewersfriend.com. I'll work it out.
Are you the support inbox? Are you managing? Oh, I'm so sorry for some of the things I've sent to that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was you.
I didn't like the one picture of your. Never mind.
Yeah, I send that to everybody. That's a holiday email I send every year. Yeah, my wife's birthday I send 2. So. Anyways, I do think that's all the small talk I have. My friend, if you're ready, I'm going to get this show going. Hopefully people hear the gong of questions. Did it work for you? We'll see if it works for the listeners. So, the gong of questions brings in our first question. It is an email. Our buddy Chris from Denver wrote in, "Hey Joshua, longtime listener, and I've learned a ton from the show. I hear people talking about closed transfers and how they're better than just siphoning or using an auto siphon into a keg or secondary. I've always done open transfers without issues, but now I'm wondering, is it worth the extra hassle to go closed? What's the advantage, and how can I set it up without spending a fortune?" Chris from Denver. Now, again, I know So I've told you before, and people who listen are no strangers to this. We have a lot of entry level people that find the show. God bless them, because we have good search engine optimization. So they're like, podcast for homebrewing. Oh, I'll give these guys a try. They make it a few episodes and then they abandon. But some people like Chris, they stick around. And so they will, some of these questions may seem super straightforward, but it's good, in my opinion, to go over them, because like, you could get away with closed transfer, but it's not like some budget breaking thing to go closed. And there are advantages. So what would you tell someone who has been open transferring why they should, and what's the benefits of closed transfer?
Well, obviously the benefit of a closed transfer is not exposing the beer to the air. Okay. But why is that a good thing? And even if you don't necessarily pick up oxidation type flavors in the beer itself, the oxidation is happening. It may not be real noticeable, especially if you're really careful, but it can happen. Now, oxidation in some beers is not necessarily a real bad thing, at least minute. Say barley wine. Barley wine ages, it actually brings out some great caramelly flavors, some things. Hoppy beers, especially hazies and things, can really, really lose flavor and aroma very quickly, even just by those open transfers. Now, I'm really glad his beer is great and he hasn't noticed a difference, but I might want to challenge you to try a closed transfer and see if you notice a difference. Oxidation is a big problem with a lot of our beers. We have people using ascorbic acid and potassium metabisulfite and things that kind of block the oxygen. It is a big deal. Now, how do you do it without breaking the bank? The easiest way when you're transferring to a keg is do a closed transfer, push it with CO2. Or ferment in a keg, use the dip tube, jump to another keg with CO2. That really minimizes any chance of any oxidation. I love the autosiphon. I got to tell you, I love it. I'm a winemaker too, but the pumping of that alone puts in a little air. Is it a big deal? Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I'd love to say no, but yeah, it kind of is.
My dad and I, 2017 is when we started brewing together. And I think it was the end of 2017. We did an ESB, and we used your favorite hops, of course, Fuddles. And so my pop was like out of town. We always used to brew over there, because we serve over there. We still serve over there. We just now brew at my house. But at the time, he was like, hey, your mom and I are going to be out of town. Can you go transfer? We were still doing secondary at the time. Can you go transfer the beer? It needs to get to secondary, and then you can throw it in the fridge. Okay, perfect, Pop. I was so consumed. I'm addicted to my cell phone. I've admitted this for many years. I have a problem. Hi, my name's Joshua. I'm addicted to my cell phone. Hi, Joshua. I was doing something for Instagram as I'm transferring from our primary, which at the time was like the Genesis, or maybe it was the Catalyst. I forget. It was someone that was given to me for free. That's what I use. I use gear that's given to me. And I'm, filming it on my Instagram. Like, oh, I'm so cool. I'm a brewer. I was splashing into the secondary because I didn't have the hose from the auto siphon all the way down at the bottom. And I'm about halfway through before I realize it. I'm like, whoa, no. Oh, when that ESB, after we secondary and then we keg it, it had that cardboard kind of taste to it. And my dad forever, I think I might have lied to him at first. I was like, no, Dad, that's how ESBs taste. He hated that style until maybe last year when we rebrewed an ESB. And he was like, I always thought I didn't like ESBs. I'm like, yeah, Pop, because I lied to you. And I oxidized the beer the first time we did it. So like you said, I mean, I don't think it was this dramatic splash. I think it doesn't take a lot to put oxygen into your batch that will affect it. Like, and I can tell people that cardboard taste did not go away. It was there. It didn't like mellow out with time. It was in that batch. It was a part of it. So closed transfer for me since my pop and I have been doing it, has been a game changer. And I'm assuming, Chris is talking about having kegs. That's already, like, you don't have to spend more. You already have the keg. If you have a fermentation vessel that can handle pressure, and a lot of them don't even require a lot. Even if you're doing it in a glass carboy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lorena. you can add 2 or 3 psi to a glass carboy. Oh, you wouldn't? Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm with you. Probably.
No.
Right? Because, and the reason I do that, if you have a pristine carboy, especially one that's made well,
Yeah.
maybe made in Mexico or Italy or something. However, if you bump it a lot, all of a sudden it becomes a little more fragile.
Oh, good
and
point.
you
Yeah.
might suddenly experience. Have I heard that happen to anybody? No.
Yeah. Well,
So that's the only caveat there. And a lot of people are using better bottles or whatever brands there are now. But better bottles was like the first, like 20 years ago. The other thing is too that I know some people are still doing secondary, and some of them have been using these big mouth bubblers.
Yep.
Not a great idea. You've got more headspace there.
Yep.
For primary, it's fine. Skip the secondary, go right to the keg. Bottlers are going to have a harder time, of course. I don't know of a way that you can easily bottle. Yeah, you can push the beer with CO2 using like a Blickman beer gun or something like that. But with bottling, yeah, that I have noticed much fresher beers, generally speaking, from kegged beers that are bottled with CO2.
absolutely.
So how to not spend a lot of money, keg to keg. I still have these. They're carboy caps that have 2 holes in them.
Yep.
And you can push the CO2. Those are like $5? I don't even know how much they are anymore.
Well, 20 years ago. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm old, so
yeah, I'm trying to look on Keg Connection real quick. I finally got
and that's actually what it's for. You can put an airlock and a cap on it during fermentation on your carboy. Then when you're ready to transfer, you can transfer with pressure.
Yeah, I have those carboy caps. Yeah, you're right. Northern is the first result. Northern has them for $3.99. So there are some Farmhouse Brewing. Our buddy, remember Michael Ferguson used to work for them in Houston, and we've met the owner at HomebrewCon. When was that? Minnesota when we hung out with them, or it was Portland, or you remember though? Because
it was Portland.
It was Portland.
It was Portland. I think that we hung out there.
He's selling them for
It's a little hazy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time has passed. That must be.
That's why we weren't. Alcohol was not involved. No, and my favorite Lorena story is from that night, because I remember like, oh guys, wait up for me, I gotta pee, and you're like, don't break the seal, or. Yeah, that's my favorite Lorena story. I tell it all the time. Well, that's where I learned about it. I was like, what do you mean don't break the seal? You're going to have to pee every 20 minutes now if you go. I was like, well, okay, old lady, don't tell me what to do. Sure enough, I was having to stop to pee like a pregnant lady.
Where the heck is Chuck?
Yeah,
he's in the bathroom.
He's in the bathroom.
Yeah, he's in the bathroom.
True. I was pissing every 25 minutes. I was like, do I have a bladder infection? Did Lorena, is she a witch? Does she yeah, you're going to have to pee. But you're right.
The seal.
Those carboy caps are dirt cheap. But I will say this. I spent too much time on carboys only because don't use them. Glass is so dumb. Like I have not heard of people exploding them with pressure, but I've heard of a ton of people in our community breaking them from just barely setting them down in the garage. Like they set it down and
the bottom's gone. I have a friend who she was cleaning a 6.5 gallon carboy, and it just slipped, and she's kind of a big girl, and it severed the tendons in her thumb.
Oh no.
And she drove herself to the ER because she was close. But I said, why didn't you call me? She says, well, because I was kind of busy bleeding and stuff. And I thought it'd be faster. And so she drove, and they did sew everything. And that was when Bob said, no more glass. Well, I have a lot of glass. So I do age some of my wines in glass. Yeah. I'm not a real big fan of plastic. Yeah. So what's the answer?
Yeah.
Steel.
Yep. Absolutely. Stainless steel. And what about for kombucha though? See, that's the only thing I use glass for right now is for my kombucha, because I've just been told, obviously, never do plastic with kombucha. But stainless steel, I guess I could do with kombucha, right? Oh no,
I do glass with kombucha, but I keg kombucha, which is in
stainless
steel.
Yeah.
So, but the mother's not in it, although the bacteria and everything and the good stuff is still in there. So I don't know. I guess this is the first time I've actually given that any thought.
Welcome to my day-to-day on any topic you could pick. I'd be like, That's the first time I thought of that. That might be the first time I thought for the day. But anyway, wrapping up Chris's question, I agree with you, especially when you're first getting into brewing. The auto, like, there's something nostalgic thinking about doing a secondary at all, much less like transferring. I got my auto siphon. Like Todd has a video that we did for Keg Connection, probably maybe before Homebrew Happy Hour was a thing. So it may have been 10, 12 years ago, where he's showing how to secondary, and he's doing the auto siphon and it's going down to the keg. And it's all very nostalgic. Exactly. But like you said, in hindsight, there's better ways to do it. And if you already have the keg, it's so easy to make a jumper cable. It's so dirt cheap to go. Or like you said, if you have two kegs, ferment in one, transfer to the other. You don't got to think about it. Now, I will ask you one thing before totally wrapping up his question. I get mixed information from people, but this is how I do the keg that I'm going into, whether it's from fermenter or from another keg. I obviously it's clean and sanitized. I push the sanitizer out with CO2 so that I never have to reopen it. And then I fill it up with CO2, take off the gas, and I totally purge it all the way out. Don't add more gas. I then start the transfer. I've had people tell me, no, you need to add gas first to it, not just add it and then empty it and then transfer. Like add it, don't empty it and transfer. How do you do your transfers?
What I do is I leave the CO2 in there. And I have done it on the same level, and it's, the CO2 tank, the beer keg, and then the one it's going into, put a jumper cable between, of course. I leave that CO2 in from pushing the sanitizer. And then when it's ready, pressures try to equalize.
Right.
So all you do is push the pressure relief valve. It starts the transfer. And as the transfer slows, as you look at the tube, because I use the clear tubing, as the transfer slows, you pull the pressure again. So that way you transfer the whole time under pressure. And you can do it whether the beer is carbonated or not. If you push slow, like I push it 2 PSI. I've done that with carbonated beer when I want to go from a keg that's sitting around. I want to jump it to a new keg to take it to a party or something. I leave the CO2 in it. I think, I don't know, are you really hurting it? No.
Yeah, right. But
it's just as easy.
Yeah.
You talk about you being lazy. I'm probably like the laziest brewer you'll ever meet. And it's just the gas is in there. And all I do to move the beer from that keg to this keg is pull the thing.
I will make a trophy and we will have a who is lazier contest instead of Kolsch Cup. We'll see. We will see who's the champion. Spoiler, I'm going to give myself the trophy. But I should have mentioned too, though, because we do pressure fermentation, when I am transferring on my gas side of the receiving keg, I have a spunding valve so the batch in my FermZilla will be at 10 PSI and I will let that naturally transfer. Sometimes I add the gas to the fermenter because we're doing such big batches. It starts slowing down and I'm lazy, but I'm impatient more than I'm lazy. It's a bad combination. But I will have I'll put the spunding valve on the receiving keg and I'll set it to like 7 or 8, like close to 10. To where then, because the only bad experience I've had with not having the spunding valve on was they equalized and I left because I was like doing something in the house and I came out and it was stalled. It just added more time. I was just frustrated. It wasn't even a bad experience. It didn't ruin the batch or anything. I was just
right. But if you would have had the spunding valve at like 12, it would have all went backwards.
Correct. That too.
So
that's a good point. Yeah, right.
And I don't use a spunding valve. Cheap and lazy. That's probably a worse combination than an impatient and lazy. I don't know. We'll have to have that.
We're going to have that in our contest.
But I just didn't go.
Yeah.
But the pressures will equalize. The fact that you have better gear than me,
I do,
kind of hurts a little bit.
I do because I pander. I'm like,
doesn't work for me. I suck up to everybody.
I know.
I even do podcasts for free.
I know.
Do I get anything?
I know. Hey, joke's on you. I do podcasts for free. Todd stopped underwriting this show when he sold KegConnection.com. We have no budget. We are. That's why I thank you in emojis. I'm like, here's your paycheck. It's a cheers emoji. Thank you. Anyways, my friends, if you're watching this at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour and you have something to say about closed transferring versus open transferring, leave it in the comments below. If you're listening on certain platforms, I know like Spotify, you can leave comments, but if you want a chance at getting a gift card to ketconnection.com, call in your feedback, preferably a question, but it could be feedback to 325-305-6107. Thank you, Chris, for submitting that question. Moving on. We got the gong again, meaning question number 2. It's another email our buddy Justin wrote in. Hey, Josh, thanks for helping me get going in the club. Just received the breakfast stout, and I'm very excited to brew it. Here's a question for the podcast, maybe. What does your planning process look like for club recipes each month? What advice can you offer to homebrewers wanting to better plan future brew days? I told you I took questions that I could do on my own if I had to. So I'll open it and I'll throw it to you then, Lorena.
All right.
I will say the cop-out answer that's super obvious. What advice can I give to homebrewers wanting to better plan? Join the Trub Club at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. I have to do that. I had to do that. But really though, like I've had people give feedback. This is not just me being salesman Josh, because Todd knows, Lord knows, I am a terrible salesman. It is a way to get curated kits. Like it's a recipe of the month club, right? So if you trust my judgment, then I should cut away from your camera. Oh my gosh. If you trust my judgment, it's actually the three of us. This last year, I did not consult Todd or James, besides when Todd mentioned he likes Belgians. I swapped out a recipe we were going to do this month for the Belgian triple. I'm not going to tell everyone what the other one was. Kolsch.
This is next month.
No, yeah, this is next month. It actually is. You're not wrong. I did push it back. It's a wee heavy is what we're going to end up doing. So we're ending the year boozy. We're ending the year super boozy. But anyways, if you don't want to join a club, if you are just dead set on, I would rather just pre-plan. I think something like for me, what goes into it is like for this year, 2025, I don't like replicating batches for the club. So this is not necessarily advice for the average home brewer because like if it was just me brewing, you know what I'd have brewing every month. Kolsch.
IPA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would be Kolsch, breakfast stout one time a year, Kolsch, Pilsner, Kolsch, Pilsner. I'm going to be the world's most boring. But because I'm curating for a club, there's different tastes, and we want to expose people to styles maybe they're not buying commercially or ever thought to try. Like a Belgian triple, I can't even tell you a commercial example that is readily available if I walk down to my liquor store. Like I just don't know. But so exposing people to new styles and all that is the goal that I'm specifically doing since you asked, Justin. But for people like for 2026, I'll announce it here because I think I have not yet announced it. Maybe we did it on Brew Day Live. And you can tell me what you think, Lorena. My idea for 2026 was to do a whole year of commercial clones. Like every month would be a clone of something. We do commercial clones frequently, but every month would be a commercial clone. And one episode that month would be an interview with ideally the head brewer or someone who's involved at that brewery making the beer so that they can help curate the recipe with me. They can tell us, the listeners, what's special about you know what I mean? Like imagine having, like Sierra Nevada on and being able to talk about their flagship beers and the recipe, whichever one. I'll let the head brewer decide what they determine as their flagship. Like if I call up a New Belgium, I'm going to say Fat Tire. And unfortunately, this time of the year, not this time of year, in 2025, they're trying to say, oh, Voodoo Rangers are flagship. And then I'm just going to get mad and I'm not going to want to talk to them anymore because I want to talk about Fat Tire. But that's my idea for 2026 is like, I think it would be cool to be able to offer things that people can get near them, ideally something that's distributed nationwide. And so they know what it's going to taste like. They probably know that's a solid beer. And then they can see, oh my gosh, the recipe it's spot on. I can brew beer that tastes just like what I enjoy getting when I'm at the bar or whatever. Because I think that especially all the new people we have joining the club, it is incredibly satisfying when you brew a beer that you like it is even more satisfying when you brew a beer that everyone likes. Like when everyone's coming over and they're drinking oh my gosh, that tastes exactly like Shinerbach or whatever the beer is. They're like, and you're like, oh, yes, it does. Even though the secret is I did just pour Shinerbach into my homebrew keg and then I served it to you. But
I love the idea.
I think
that sounds like a great idea.
In worst case, these breweries all say no, and each month I'll be like, hey, Audible, we're actually doing a Kolsch. But if it were me, so getting now to the meat and potatoes of the question that's not specific to Homebrew Happy Hour. If I was just Joshua Steubing, home brewer, nobody knew him, instead of the dozens of people who are entertained every week by this episode, by this show.
4 of them.
Yeah. No, there's dozens that listen, but you're right. 4 are entertained.
Right.
Dozens listen. I would think that planning out a brew day for me would be very highly contingent on the availability of ingredients by my local homebrew supply shop. Like if I'm trying to brew an ESB, since we talked about it earlier, and I'm dead set on doing Fuggles, because by golly, they're the best hops on the planet. I love that earthy worm taste. But they don't have Fuggles, now boom, that brew day is not going to happen because I could substitute, but no, this is what I want to do, whatever. What advice do you give? Like, do you plan out your brew days, Lorena, ahead of more than a week, or is it just, hey, I have some Pilsner malt and I have some Hallertau. Okay, we're doing a German Pils.
It's a combo for me. I'm at a place now where I went from making 11-gallon batches, 5 at first, then 10, and then 11, and then 15. And now I'm doing smaller batches less often. And I've downsized a lot from my half barrel system. So I am now pretty much ordering ingredients. I have some things on hand. I have a lot of hops, but I've been ordering the grain because I don't buy a lot of full sacks anymore. I just don't use enough of one kind very often. But what I do when I plan, the first thing I do is sit down and design the recipe or find a recipe I like. And then I go, well, yeah, but I don't have any Fuggles because they're dirty. And but I do have Kent Goldings, and so I'll adjust the recipe. Now, if someone is planning, they already have their recipe. I'm not 100% sure what he meant by planning. I use RO water, so of course I spend a day before doing my RO water and things. So I used to print out brew steps, check the thermometer, check this. And if some people do that, that is great. If they have the recipe software and they can print it out or look at their recipe. Yeah. You don't want it, but you often have to call an audible on a brew day.
Yep.
It's like your wort chiller sprung a leak or whatever. So as it is, I really like to be as organized and ready to go as I can. Now, that said, I do on a whim say, I think I'm going to brew. And some days those go pretty well. And some days
they don't.
It's like, oh, where is my hydrometer? All 6 of them, but planning, I guess it's, what does he mean by planning? You're planning about the brew day, the brew session, but I am a person that I do record everything, and I do recommend for all brewers to record, especially if you're a new brewer and you don't know what your efficiency is going to be and you don't know what your temperature is going to be at the knockout. Write everything down, and I think that'll go a long way to helping you plan for the future.
Oh my gosh, documentation is everything.
It is, and I was great about it 25 years ago. Right now, and then somebody will ask me a question, I'll be like, did I write that down? Did I put that in the...
I got that. I mean, Todd and James were good examples when I started brewing about documenting everything, because even so, there are things, like you said, an audible happens. They're very common in a brew day. We're documenting that so that you understand, like, even, you may not be able to replicate it. Like, you may have had all these, what we would call mess ups on a brew day, but then that batch was the best batch you ever had.
Best ever.
And you're probably not ever going to replicate it, but you have documentation of what led to it. So at least you can, you're not going to probably be like you said, oh, how do I get my pump to stick for 4.5 minutes at this time, at this temperature, or whatever, like, you're not going to replicate it, but documenting goes a long way towards improving the batch. Like if you're trying to dial in your Kolsch or your IPA or whatever, you can see what you did last time. If you're, I know a lot of people who brew and it's just all out off the dome and they don't care about like if consistency or whatever, and that's fine. But the average person I suspect is more like, I want to know. I want to know what I'm doing at all times because it gives me my best foot forward to have the best possible batch for this time. And you can't, and documentation can be as easy. Just have a brew journal if you don't utilize software. But software it's cheap, and you could go to
a notebook is cheaper. I mean,
that's true.
Whatever,
Yeah.
Here I am trying to encourage everyone to use Brewer's Friend software.
And I'm trying to encourage them to use promo code Happy Hour and save 25%. And I think it's one word, Happy Hour. It might not be. Give it a try. We don't know.
One other thing I did want to mention about planning too, when I started brewing, I don't know, about 100 years ago, things were cheap. Grain was cheap.
Yeah.
Yeast was cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Especially dry yeast, just like 49 cents. These ingredients aren't cheap anymore. Our equipment's not cheap.
Yep.
And so by documenting, by writing it down, by planning your brew day, you will save time and money. And so that's something else to, for those non-planners out there, something to consider.
And I think too that would be a whole other question. It might be a question you've helped me before on a show about bulk buying and all that. But like the more, like Justin's question is broad, right? Because there's a lot of approaches we could take. Ultimately, if you do not stock ingredients, planning is going to start with availability. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily just mean your local supply shop. There are outages of hops all the time. Like Galaxy hops for a whole year, I think it was in like 2018, 2019, couldn't get them at all. So if there was, when that was back when we ran a supply shop, when we were also doing homebrewsupply.com, and we had a very popular Smash IPA kit that was Galaxy based. And for the better part of one of those years, we couldn't send it out. And people would call, oh, when's that coming back in stock? We have no clue. There was some, and grain shortages can be a thing too. If you're not willing to substitute, it is your planning is a lot more limited. But like, I've had to do Kolsch's before with Mount Hood hops instead of a proper German Noble, just because I didn't want to wait. I was like, oh, that's what.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a great Kolsch. Absolutely. And I lied through my teeth. Yes. That's Hallertau Mittelfrüh. Enjoy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm no stranger. I mean, I do marketing for Todd. I lie every day.
That's true.
What are you up to today? Whatever you told me to do. That's what I'm up to. I'm doing what you told me to do. But anyways, Justin, we appreciate you sending that. And again, friends, if you are watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour and you have feedback or a comment or just want to say, hey, Josh, cool hat, leave it in the comments below. It helps the algorithm. Hit like while you're there. Subscribe to the channel. If you don't, whatever, do whatever you want. You're an adult. Or you could call it in to 325-305-6107. If I use your feedback or preferably a question on a future episode, get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Moving on. It worked again. The Gonder questions bring us to our third question for this week. Mark from Tulsa sent an email. He said, hey guys, love the show. I've been homebrewing for about a year now, and I'm still using an Igloo cooler for my mash tun. It works fine, but I feel like my efficiency is always lower than it should be. It's around 65 to 68%. I'm wondering what steps I can take to get better mash efficiency without spending a ton of money on upgrades. Thanks and keep up the great work, Mark from Tulsa. There's a theme with our audience and us as host of this show today. We're all cheap. We don't want to spend money.
Well, I think I used to say I was cheap. But now my husband says I'm thrifty.
Oh, that's bad. I always say frugal. I'm going to say thrifty. Thrifty is way better.
Thrifty. That makes you sound intelligently cheap.
That's intelligently cheap is actually what
instead of frugal.
That is
frugal sounds miserly.
Title of my memoir, Intelligently Cheap. I'm going to use that. That's going to be one of my memoirs.
I want the royalties on that.
Absolutely. Expect your maybe $1.50 check every 9 months.
Remember, I'm thrifty. That's fine.
That's fine. But there's nothing wrong with using Igloo coolers. In fact,
well, no, because guess what I'm using now for my mash tun again.
Are you really?
My original 10-gallon Igloo cooler with the false bottom, and to make it more modern, brew in a bag. Go figure.
Whoa. Well,
So-
before we answer the question, are you a squeezer or are you not a squeezer?
Oh, I'm a squeezer. Well,
Ah.
I can't really lift it enough to squeeze. I'm more of a mash
I'm
paddler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that
yeah.
juice out.
Get that ju-
So this is why I got some guns for a little.
No
lady,
kidding.
you know.
Whoa.
No, there's first of all, this is a very big question. It's a simple question. It's big because we don't know what's causing that efficiency. First of all, there's no such thing as good efficiency or bad. It is what it is.
Yep.
The worst thing that can happen with the 66% efficiency is you lose a little more grain. You know,
Yep.
you just that's all. And chasing efficiency for efficiency's sake is a bad idea, because definitely you can, oversparge and get more sugars up, but the beer's not going to be as good.
Yep.
So if you're unhappy though and would like to bring that up to save a pound of grain or whatever, there's some things you can do. The first thing is we don't know about the crush. Crush is crucial. You want it to be fine, but not so fine that you can't water through it. So that's probably the number one thing right there. The other thing is people that write to me at Brewer's Friend about poor efficiency. They are using too much water. They're using whatever recipe they found on the internet that said start with 9 gallons of water for a 5-gallon batch. And they do this, and it's like, well, you have to use the right amount for your system, what your losses are, what your faults under your false bottom. So big part of that is equipment. Not your equipment is bad. Your Igloo cooler, mine's great. Yours is great. It's knowing what your losses are going to be. How much is left in your tubing? How much are you throwing away? Are you transferring all of the work to the fermenter? Or are you throwing away a gallon of it? Because one guy didn't like those floaty things in there and he threw away a gallon and they couldn't figure out why his efficiency was low. Well, if you're making 9 gallons of beer or a 5-gallon batch and you're throwing 4 gallons away or boiling off harder, So those are some of the main causes that I can think of poor efficiency. I don't know if you have another thought on that, Josh.
No, well, I was going to say, I wanted to elaborate a little because I love that little, you keep coining things I'm going to steal, or I'm going to AI dub this to where it sounds like I came up with it. Crush is crucial. It's so brilliant because that's also system contingent where you're doing brew in a bag. You're probably double crushing, right? Like a lot of.
Well, I don't. I do one.
Oh, no,
but
okay.
but I use my drill and crush the heck out of it to almost flour. So
right.
yeah, I'm not double crushing because again, lazy. Just work harder for a shorter period of time.
Work harder, not smarter.
That's right.
I'm gonna steal that from you too. Why would I work smarter?
Yeah, but I do. It's not super, super fine. It's probably, I haven't measured lately, maybe 0.26. I think that everybody sends it when you go to a homebrew store. What is it? 0.35?
Yeah, 0.35, I think is what's common.
So that's a significant difference. But I can still do that with the false bottom in that particular setup. Again, the bag, love it. Pick it up, throw it away,
Oh, it's so, yeah, I know. A ton of people swear by it. If my pop and I, they call these these electric all-in-ones brew in a basket, right? Like we're lifting the grains up to let them drip as we do our sparge, whatever. Even though you're doing brew in a bag, you're probably doing no sparge.
I am. And I was actually using my all-in-one. And there's a couple problems with it. The one I have, they don't have the feet in the lower area where you can pull up halfway and wait. And I'm sorry, to pull it up over my neck like this, and it's too heavy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I drug out my old MLT that I had in the basement. So now my all-in-one is an all-in-two.
I like my all-in-two. That's funny. No, you're right. Yeah. We're doing 10-gallon batches, and it is not enjoyable to have to lift it all the way up to those top lips part right there. Oh yeah, it's not fun.
I brew in my laundry room. I brew indoors. My husband said no to putting in the
winch.
A winch and a new ceiling in the laundry room and everything. Yeah.
But honey,
or even a pulley. I do a pulley.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
So what I do is I pump to I put the grain in, pump to the MLT and gravity drain back. Easy, and I do no sparge. And what is my efficiency? It's not very high. It's like 72%. But when I had the full on big system, it was like 77%. So, I
Right.
mean, we're talking about a dollar
Yeah.
and easier. So,
Yeah.
that's the other thing to look at. Is he sparging? Are you non-sparging? Are you fly sparging, continuous sparging? Are you batch sparging? Again, those can all increase your efficiency, but at what cost? Time, money, so we would need to know more to really give better advice so we can just be real broad in this.
Yeah. But the answer could amount to don't, like you said earlier, don't chase efficiency for efficiency's sake. Like are you like, what would be evidence of low efficiency in a finished batch that would make you even care? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, the problem is if you're using a recipe and the OG is 1060 and you get 1040, you're not going to have the same beer. The lower ABV is going to be a little thinner and things. But again, so just make your recipe for your efficiency. Most softwares, like Brewer's Friend, does have the scale. Okay. Well, they're making a 12-gallon batch with 92% efficiency. I'm not doing that.
No.
But I can make a 5-gallon batch at 68% efficiency and just scale it. And the software does that for you, or unless you love math and you want to just do it yourself. But you can do that. You can scale it to whatever efficiency. So there really is no downside to poor efficiency except to cost you $400.
Yeah, exactly. And we
more grain.
Like you said, we are cheap. It's true. And you're paying for your grains. See, I don't even pay for my grains, so I shouldn't even care as much as I do. I steal them from Todd. Todd pays for the grains, but I steal them. So
I would steal it too, but I'm too far away.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Next time you come to the ranch, y'all drive your own vehicle, and we'll just sneak you out just massive bags of grains from the office.
Oh, but you know what we do get for free? Sorry, I shouldn't admit this. CM Becker hats.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, I don't even get those.
Bob showed up with a CM Becker hat that had been 15 years old. They used to be black.
Yeah.
So it was like whitish, grayish black.
I love it.
And James took a look at him and went, I'll be right back.
With the new one? Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. See, and that's how I know James likes you.
I was ashamed of Bob.
That's how I know. That's how I know James likes y'all more than me. I've never been offered a hat. You
have to have one.
I do.
Get one.
That's
so you have to buy one first, and then
You're
wear
right.
the heck of it out, and then they feel sorry for you.
You're right. And then they feel bad for me. Well, you're right. I'm gonna. I don't know if James watches this, but in the comments, James, let me know if I can get a hat. Because that's one thing I know, if I steal, they're gonna know I stole it. Like, there's other things I can gaslight Todd. This thing, no, I was mine, I think. Well, the CM Becker hat.
These extra quick connects.
Yeah, all these.
These?
And I'm obviously joking. I have to say that my mom watches and doesn't always know I'm joking. I don't steal from my boss, Mom. I don't really think he's an idiot. I don't name call him except on the show. It's a shtick, Mom, I swear. With all that aside, there was a time we did a Brew Day live forever ago, one of the first ones we ever did, and Todd was watching. And in the background, I had I think it was one of those Vettel containers that you store grains in, and he had given it to me. He's given me ever since he sold Homebrew Supply, and you know the guy who owned Homebrew Supply first. That guy, he went all out in making it a proper supply shop. So thousands maybe of those containers that are holding, I think 60 pounds of grains is what they're rated for, and they're airtight and they're perfect, and they're good for dog food or preppers or whatever. So Todd has sent me home with a bunch for myself and for family. But either way, he was watching that Brew Day live, and he made a comment like, "Did you steal those from me?" Because they're in the background, and so I had to play it up like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. Oh, like, oh no." But sometimes I forget, like when Todd and I joke, or when I joke, people don't always know I'm joking. So. This is, the legal department's in my ear. I do not steal from my employer. I got to get that out there for the eventual deposition I'm going to find myself in State of Texas versus Joshua's Tubing.
And now you better not get a CM Becker hat.
No, I better not.
Yeah. Your mom will kill you.
Absolutely. She'll be like, where'd that hat come from? Oh, Mom, James gave it to me because I was employee of the month.
And anyways, Mark from Tulsa, thank you so much for submitting the question. My final plea to people, especially if you're watching over at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour and you have something to say, leave it as a comment. It really does help us with the algorithm. And if you could like the video or whatever, or dislike it, you're an adult, do whatever you want. But if you want a chance at getting a gift card to catconnection.com, call in your feedback or a question to 325-305-6107. My friend Lorena, we got one more question if you've got the time. Good. Because the loudest gong ever. I apologize for that. The gong of questions brings us to our fourth and final question for this week. Our buddy Eric from Portland sent me a text, and you're going to like this. He says, longtime listener and member of the Troob Kloob.
He said it right. He said it right.
And he spelled it. I wouldn't have spelled it that way, but he said it right. Yeah. Of the Troob Kloob. I've always wondered how much a specific yeast strain actually matters. For example, if a recipe calls for, he's using Imperial because that's what we're that's who we peddle because we believe in Imperial. And
Great company.
And he's from Portland, so he probably is very familiar with Imperial. But he says, if a recipe calls for Imperial Pub, but I only have Imperial Flagship, is it going to make a noticeable difference? Are yeast in the same general category close enough that it doesn't matter? It is a good question.
Great question.
I've had to substitute before, but to be fair, when I substitute, it's usually like if I don't have flagship and I need flagship, I'll just go get dry 05 like I have in my freezer.
A different Chico.
A different Chico, right. But I could not tell you the origin of some of these because they all have names like white, let's do Kolsch, for example, which I think would make a big difference because it's every yeast manufacturer has a very specific cologne strain that White Labs, Y Yeast, Imperial, Omega. There's a reason for that because it's region specific. And if I'm going to use an 05 for a Kolsch, it will not be a Kolsch.
No, it'll be more like a blonde.
It'll be a blonde ale. And that's okay, but it's not going to be a Kolsch. Now, if I'm brewing an English brown, how important, if I use a Chico because I can't get my hands on a specific English strain, is it still going to be an English brown? Or is every beer basically region specific besides American beers? I just don't know the answer to this.
Yeah. And those are good questions. And I guess the examples that he gave were pub versus flagship.
Yeah.
American, very clean, Chico, and the pub, which has wonderful esters, a little fruitiness in a good way, not like you ferment something way too hot, but there's a real distinct yeast character in a lot of English strains, not all, but in that one there is. So will it be still a great beer depending on what you're brewing? Oh yeah, I think either way would still be delicious and wonderful. But if you're making an American pale ale and using the pub yeast, you're going to get some fruitiness in it. Could be delightful, but you're not going to be to style. And unless you're entering in a competition, if you like it and your friends like it, that's what matters. So yes, that does matter. Although you brought up another point in the second part of that question, or is any yeast strain in the same class and category sufficient? Well, like Josh said, Chico strains, there is a difference. I happen to really love the White Labs 001. I love that. That's my favorite Chico strain. Does that mean I won't use Imperial? No, I use Imperial. I use Omega. I particularly use more Imperial because that's what I can get. Plus, I like those yeast and I like the owner. So I do use those. I don't tend to use dry SO5. I don't like that as much as the other Chico strains. It's just the way it is. And the same is true. You can use dry English yeast for an English beer. I happen to like the character more of the pub, the Imperial Pub. So yeah, if you stay in the same category, if you're making a German Pilsner, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many yeast companies and how many yeast strains there are for a German Pilsner beer. And some you might like more than others. If you brew the same exact beer and put the Bavarian from Yeast and the White Labs from where, I don't know that I could pick out which is which. They may be slightly different. One of the great things I did, and if you're in the area and you can do this, I assume they do this if you're in San Diego, go to White Labs, and they actually have a tasting room where they have one recipe that they brewed using, 6 different yeast, 8 different yeast. Everyone is so different, you would not believe it's the same recipe. Some of it was really good. Some of it was odd. It was like, oh, this pale ale with this Belgian strain, it was not really palatable. It wasn't awful, but it was, and some of the others were so good. So just doing something like that, maybe split a batch next time, get another yeast package, split your batch, see what you think with pub ale in one and an American ale in the other. You will notice a significant difference probably, unless they're very close yeast strains.
A couple of things real quick. I want to go back to what you said about when you were talking about pub originally, and you said esters, a little bit of fruitiness, but not in a bad way. Sounded like my father describing me to his friends. I wanted to mention that. And then,
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was having a flashback to being like 11 years old, and I thought my dad was telling them how artistic his son was, and that's not what he was saying.
That's funny.
Thank you. I was working on that one. Yeah, the whole time you were talking, I was like, I'm gonna say a joke. But no. But back to it. Like you said, what people don't realize too, and I'm glad you touched on it. There are differences even in every Chico strain that manufacturers make. What I would suggest to people, because we're living in the best time ever to be a home brewer, say that all the time. Every yeast manufacturer is very thorough on the packaging or on their website, what to expect, what the temperature range is, what the attenuation is, what the flocculation is. If you cannot get pub because that's what you want, but they have Lallemand, Nottingham, or whatever, just make sure before you get it, just because they're both English, there may have been something about pub that you really enjoyed, and there may be maybe this one manufacturer doesn't provide what you're looking for, but another one does, and it's available. Like that's the good thing about living in the current times is that we have no shortage of options and no shortage of information as a brewer. So same with hops and same with grains. If you're ever looking at substitutes, you're like, you could always, obviously just go to the forums and see what has worked for other people. But the information is there for you to do your homework. And as a lazy person, we've already gone over this episode. It's not that hard to find out like what is a good substitution for Hallertau, what is a good substitution for pub, and you're talking about German pills. Yeah, you want to make sure you keep getting a lager strain, but there's probably 12 different adequate substitutions for your favorite that might be out of stock. Because the only alternative, if you can't get your favorite, is to delay the brew day. That would be the only alternative. I would rather just find an adequate substitute that's going to produce what I want, but also have the expectations that it's not going to be a 1-for-1 because there are going to be subtle differences.
Right. And one thing that is interesting that I found, I make a lot of American IPAs. That's my favorite beer style. I make a lot of those. One of my favorite yeasts that I have done was a British strain. It was very clean. And I fermented it probably at 63. It dropped clear. It was more flocculent than the Chico strains. So just because I'm making an American IPA doesn't mean I have to use, but again, it's the characteristics of that particular strain. The fact that it was mostly designed for English IPAs, it was fabulous in American IPAs. So, but all that's on their website. You go on Why Yeast website and you read, they're real honest. They'll tell you this doesn't flocculate worth a darn.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. But it's a great yeast strain, so maybe you're going to want to, filter or something. So they're very honest. They give you the stats. Same with all the malts, all the hops. It's all there for you.
And they categorize them like every manufacturer that I know. Granted, I haven't been on all their websites lately, but I can say for sure Imperial, and I'm pretty sure White Labs does this. They categorize them too by German Pilsners, and here's all the strains that would work good for it, or German ales, or Belgian. So that way, when you are stuck with, I'm trying to do an English brown, and all I have is this Belgian strain, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
You're going to have the world's most astringent brown on the planet, right? Like strains do matter because that's what originated in those areas, and that's what makes those areas styles what they are. So, when these manufacturers are telling you it's a Belgian, it's because they took that strain from that region to propagate so that you could brew that specific style. So understand, like, no, not all yeast is equal, but there's a lot of similar enough strains in the same category to where, again, just read. Reading's hard. Listen, if there was a yeast information coloring book, I'd know a lot more about yeast. I'd be like coloring between the lines, like, oh, okay, look, I'm coloring the Kolsch strains. This is good. It's Dieter and it's Gustav. I'm doing good. But
well, I used to have, and I still do, but in my brewery up north, Yeast gave me this whole chart.
oh,
And I
yeah,
often will look at that and go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So
absolutely.
they even have those on the internet too.
Absolutely. Hey, our friend.
There's a strange man walking through our house.
But look, he's making an appearance. Is that Sam Becker hat? No. Oh, you don't mow in the Sam Becker.
I was telling about your CM Becker hat and how to get one.
I got a new one that I'm preserving.
Oh, is that where it is?
Yeah, because I wore the previous one out, and I'm not sure I can get another one.
If you can, let me know how to get one. You got to let me know.
Yeah. Well, you got to show up to James with that all ruined, and it just bothered him.
Yeah, you're right. I do show up with ruined hats all the time, and I just get made fun of. They don't ever offer to replace my hat. I need to. You're right. I'm going to next time I go up there, make it awkward and be like, "Hey, do you have any more of those CM Becker hats? I want to give one away, but then give it away to myself."
Give you one for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, you're always thinking, Josh.
Absolutely. I am a thinking man. Sometimes the thinking man.
Thinking man?
Thinking. Yeah. No,
thinking.
Both. It could be both. Eric, I think we covered his question well. And again, I told you before we recorded, and I said it on air, I took questions that I would have been able to answer, but having you helped me actually get good answers, not just like, well, Eric, what do you want me to say? Just pick a yeast, Eric. Are you serious? What kind of a question is that? Because no, it does matter. And the details do matter.
You were just doing your pop, weren't you?
No. I don't know what that was a new voice. I've been working on my kids. What was the one that they've been having me do weird voice? Like I cannot make my kids entertained anymore. So I have to just beg through. Oh, you want to do Fozzie Bear? I'll do Fozzie Bear. Or you want to, I could do them. I'll work on it. Please love me. No, I don't know what that last one was though. Normally when my generic guy impression is just what I do for Todd. Oh, hello, Josh. What are you doing today? But anyways, Eric, thank you for submitting that question. Lorena, my friend, I cannot thank you enough for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. Stick around so I can give you a proper goodbye, but I'm going to wrap up the episode and we'll do that. So thank you for your time. I hope I won't. Next time, I promise I'll give you more than a week heads up when I want you to help me out again because a 1 day notice.
More than an hour.
Yeah.
Time.
Well, that's what I mean. But that's what I'm going to give you more. I'm going to give you at least a work week, not a full real week. At least a work week's worth of days ahead of time notice to get you on and send you the information that far ahead too, because you got the PDF like 22 minutes before, not even like 12 minutes before we started recording. So,
and I got to read almost all of it.
You're a fast reader. See, again, I was going to send you my version, which is the coloring book version, where like Eric from Portland, connect the dots. All right. Anyways, Lorena, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I'll see you soon. And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, again, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, use that submitted question link at the top of the page. But even better, call it in. Maybe get yourself a gift card when I use your question or feedback to 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already using Muntons, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of premium liquid imperial yeast along with delicious recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. A huge thank you to every member of the Trub Club. I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.